Welcome back to another episode of Nerd Tween and a Movie Podcast. This is your host, Nerdpool Prime. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to have a jam-packed show. Going to start off with a little bit of news in the Nerdverse, and then we're going to get into a topic that's been bothering me a lot with spoilers as well as non-confirmed confirmations. I'll get into that in a little bit. Then we also have a deep dive on WandaVision, the most recent episode. I will give you a huge spoiler warning before that happens. So if you haven't seen it, you can go ahead and jump out and not spoil it, because if you listen and haven't watched it, I'm going to ruin your viewing experience, because there will be no surprises after I get done. And then I'm going to wrap up the show with a section about Community and how it links with the Marvel Universe, and how it pretty much gave us some of the best content we could have had coming from the Community Universe into the Marvel Universe in the MCU. All right, so let's get into news. It's official. Zack Snyder's Justice League is 100% complete. Snyder confirmed it on his Vero social media account by posting 3 teaser trailers. One looked like the epic Death of Superman comic book cover. The other one was the Justice League logo, and the other one has like the round bins that the movies come in, and it had a date on it. We now know Justice League Snyder Cut will be out March 18th, streaming on HBOMax. And it's a great news. I'm looking forward to seeing the original vision and having what Snyder has called the soul or the heart of the film put back in it, with all of the stuff of cyborgs that was cut. And I'm going to be doing a show in the future about Ray Fisher's mistreatment and how it's not okay, and how it really needs... It's finally bringing to light some things, but not enough is being done, and I'm going to use what little platform I have to try to push that movement forward, because it should be pushed forward. All right, now back to news. So, Godzilla vs. Kong trailer has been released. I don't know about you, but after watching it, I'm super psyched. When Kong punches Godzilla on the deck of that Air Force, that aircraft carrier, I mean, everything about the trailer is just amazing. It's visually stunning. And it's good to see that they're making good on this. When they started this monster verse, I wasn't really sold on it. The first Godzilla was not very appealing to me, really. But the second one really got me. I really enjoyed that. I actually saw that in the theaters with the Dungeon Master. So it was definitely a good movie for me, and I'm glad that it's continued with Godzilla vs. Kong. And now, of course, everyone's always asking, of course, who do you think is going to win? Well, I believe that, in my opinion, it has to go down to Kong's mobility and his ability to make tools. I mean, you can see in the trailer that it made like an axe with what looks like Godzilla's spike. So I feel like Godzilla's more powerful. Let's say that. No questions asked. The fire breath and everything. It's just the ability he had in the last one where he went freaking nuclear. I mean, he's definitely much stronger. But I feel like Kong is ideally built to fight him with just the way he is. I mean, if you look at who has he faced so far, I mean, have any of them had a big old fist that could punch him in the face? Or could they make tools? No, it was lightning and Mothra and all the other shit, but I mean, it's not like Kong's different. He bows to no one. So I think it's going to be interesting, and I really look forward to it. I also think there is a lot of the hype online says that there's going to be a potential twist at the end, and I believe they're right, and I think we will see Mecha Godzilla show up as well, and and that's just my theory. I mean, it seems legit. I think Kong will beat Godzilla, and then they will team up to take down Mecha Godzilla. All right, so that is going to be it for the news this week. We're going to take a very short break here, then we'll come back with a little topic I like to call spoilers and non-confirmed confirmations. Welcome back. So we're going to talk spoilers and non-confirmed confirmations. Now, what do I mean by that? So it has become a very popular thing in the nerd community for people to create what they consider as confirmations that something is going to happen and be the first to report it. And there are many things that I've wanted to report on for a while that I won't, because until I get the actual confirmation from Marvel or Sony or the actor themselves or the like production designer or something that's attached to the project, I'm not going to report it. People are reporting that it's been confirmed that Charlie Cox is going to be in Spider-Man 3 since before Marvel even had the rights. Just because it may happen and then you were the first person to say it doesn't mean you reported confirmed facts. You're taking whatever you believe to be true and just saying that was a confirmed report by inside sources or someone you know. Now, there are, industry trades and, there are Hollywood insiders who do get these inside tracks, and they do report truth. Like comicbook.com reported that not only is Charlie Cox in Spider-Man 3, but he's already wrapped shooting. Again, I'm not saying they're lying. I just won't report it as anything but comicbook.com says. It's not confirmed by Marvel, therefore it's just their reports. But people don't really seem to know the difference or care about the difference. That might be a more accurate terminology. They might not care about the difference. And then also with spoilers. Now, I'll be honest, I should have probably gave a spoiler warning earlier when I was talking about my theories for Godzilla vs. Kong, because if I'm right, I could have just ruined someone's experience. That's on me, and I apologize. But people are aggressively posting spoilers. It happened during The Mandalorian, and I was guilty of that. I put a Grogu post like almost immediately. I didn't reference that it was Baby Yoda. I just said his name is Grogu, and it had like a Kenobi like confused face. So it's something that we all have to strive to not do. Like, people are posting photos of the most recent episode of WandaVision, and hell, there were leaks of next week's like episodes and like big reveals already. Like, I'm a person who does this. I mean, I talk about nerd stuff, and I had next week's episode spoiled for me yesterday, unless it's fake. You know what I mean? Like, unless I watch next week's episode and then what they leaked doesn't happen, then yeah, I mean, I've been spoiled, and I would hate to do that to other people. And it's something we have to strive better to do less of as a community. Like, even the other day, like I posted something from one of the TV spots, so it's not even like I got it from the episode. It's just something that was on TV, and I posted like a vague spoiler warning. It was a meme that I said. It was Grogu coming out behind the chair looking at Luke, and it says, "Me checking social media to not have WandaVision spoiled." And someone like actually commented, was like, "Hey, I didn't read that before I swiped right." And I was like, "Oh, damn, my bad." Um, so, I mean, of course, now I have made a specific graphic that I post as the first image when I post anything that could potentially be a spoiler, just just to avoid that. I mean, if you scroll to the right, with that picture and the warning, I mean that's on you, and I don't feel too bad about that. But I mean, like, some of us don't realize that there are people who enjoy this content that aren't like super nerds like us. Like, I mean, I personally like I wake up at 6 a.m. for work at 10 just to make sure I can get the full episode in before I go to work, just so I've watched it already, so I can't be spoiled, or so I actually know what's going on. I can think about it before I watch it again. And not everyone can do that. I mean, so we definitely have to stop posting spoilers until, I mean, WandaVision comes out Friday, at least Monday, before you post something without a warning. I mean, come on, that's not that hard. I mean, for the most part, I mean, there was, of course, people who broke it, but for the most part, people were good about that. The Mandalorian, especially that season finale. Like, if we can all just act the way we did with the season finale, because it was such a big reveal, can we just all act like that from now on for all nerd content, not just Marvel? Can we just all just agree to go, yeah, I saw it, I'm going to keep my mouth shut until everyone gets to watch it, so I can let someone else feel that shock that I feel. Because I know if someone would have spoiled that Luke ending for me, I would have lost my mind. I would have been so pissed. Like, seeing that for the first time, like, in real time, was an experience that I won't trade for very many things on this planet. It literally filled me with such pure joy that I can't even explain it. I was crying. It was so beautiful to me that I was crying. And to be honest with you, I would hate to steal that from somebody else. And as a community, I think we really need to start to get that as a mantra moving forward, to not rob somebody of the joy that you had watching it without spoilers. So that's my little bit on that. And I really do apologize. I came off as aggressive, but I'm really passionate about this. We have to stop ruining things for people. And, it might be my bias because I've already had next week's WandaVision spoiled for me. Like, from what I've seen, if it comes to pass, I wish that I would have been able to see that in the moment and not had a full week to ponder the implications of what I saw. And I wasn't even looking. Like, it was just there. So, yeah, as a community, we need to stop doing that. And moving forward, I really hope that that we can, not do that. Let's let everyone enjoy the content as we did. And let everyone enjoy it. That's all I gotta say about that. All right, so we're gonna take another quick little break here. Then you're gonna want to fuel up and get some drinks and some snacks, because I got a deep dive coming for WandaVision episode 4. We interrupt this program with a deep dive. We interrupt this program for a spoiler warning for WandaVision Season 1, Episode 4. Are you still there? If you're still here, then guess what? We're talking about WandaVision, and we're going to do a deep dive into Season 1, Episode 4. So we're going to jump right in because I've gave you your warning, and if you're still here, then that's on you. The opening scene shows Monica coming back from the snap, from when the Hulk snapped in Endgame and she came back. It was really beautifully done. I love how it just all it was like sand just coming together to create her final body, and she heard Carol's voice uh, talking about from the lines in Captain Marvel. And what I did like really is that it showed finally the chaos that would have ensued from all these people just coming back um, out of nowhere. The only time it was even really referenced was in Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Far From Home, excuse me. And it was just done as like a joke. But like this was like chaos, and it got real rough real quick. But it raised some questions. So did some people not know what happened with the snap? Because I mean, the doctor asked her where she went. Didn't she know that people were snapped out of existence? I mean, in the in Endgame, there was that like support meeting that Cap was in. It definitely makes it seem like people knew what actually happened, and you would think that the doctor of the director of freaking Sword, or one of the creators of Sword, would be informed, you know. So I don't know, that was a little weird for me. I wasn't really sure what to make of that. And then you got to look at the so her mom died of cancer. Now, is that because she had a lot of continued work or exposure to the Tesseract, and she didn't have the proper gene to support that kind of radiation contact without it turning into something worse? But you know, that was, we'll see what happens with that. I do believe that we're gonna be getting mutants pretty dang soon. And it was nice when Monica went to the Sword facility. You see her mom's picture, Maria Photon Rambeau. Definitely foreshadowing for her to pick up that moniker later. So we're introduced to they're at the Sword facility. Sword in WandaVision stands for Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division. In the comics, it was Sentient World Observation Response Department, and it first appeared in Astonishing X-Men Volume 3 in back in 2004. So it was a distinct difference between the Sword and the comics, where they were just a protecting organization that, you know, protected the Earth against alien threats. This sentient weapon. So I believe that this is the term that they're going to give to enhance people, like Wanda, like Vision, like, I mean, even Cap would be a sentient weapon before he got old and everything, obviously. But I definitely think this is the start of the creation of what they'll have, like the Sentinels, for the X-Men and the mutants. So got a lot of questions about Sword. When did it start? When did Maria help create it? Was it back after Captain Marvel in the 90s, or was it after the Avengers and the Chitauri coming out of a hole in space? I mean, when did this start? We don't know yet, as of right now. And you know, when they're walking through and they're building stuff, I mean, it looks like it may be spaceships or something, or drones or something of that nature. But I mean, it definitely could be where the Sentinels are born. I definitely have a good feeling that that's what we're building towards here. And you know, it would be fitting that Wanda would be the catalyst for the Sentinels, because you know, she was basically the catalyst for the Sokovia Accords too, when they had that incident with Crossbones. So at the beginning of Captain America: Civil War. So I mean, you know, definitely would line up great with her storyline as we've seen so far. And then we get the return of James E. Woo, still with the FBI. He must have learned a couple sleight of hand tricks from Paul Rudd's Scott Lang when he was watching over him, because he introduced himself with a hand trick and handing her his card. So he was looking in on a missing persons who's in the witness protection program. Who is it? We still don't know. I think it very well may be the character that Evan Peters is supposedly playing. we've heard rumors that he's in it, and I will say that I can take it on pretty good authority that he will be showing up in the show. Uh, I'm not claiming that I have inside knowledge. I was just spoiled. So, and it's interesting that he called all the witnesses contacts, and not only did they not know of him, like didn't know where he was. They didn't even they said they never heard of him, and these people were his contacts. So I mean, not sure how that would be possible other than Wanda's little WandaVerse she's got going on here. And when Monica asked him why he didn't go and investigate, he said, "Because it doesn't want me to. You can feel it too, can't you? Nobody's supposed to go in." How does he feel that? I mean, it's not like he walked up to. He just had this feeling. I mean, that's. I mean, he's a good FBI agent, but I mean, he couldn't catch Scott Lang, so I don't know. I mean, maybe he has some abilities that we don't know of. I mean, he's definitely proved himself very capable in this show so far, at least. I was thinking that maybe it could be that certain people are immune. I mean, we don't know if he was blipped out of existence. So maybe it's people who were blipped are immune to it and can actually remember, or just because they were so far away. Maybe that's why. It does say on the board later that there was a 5-mile radius, so maybe that's what it is. But we don't have confirmation of that so far. Let's see. Why can those two remember? And so those cops, like, they're standing in front of the sign that says Westview, and they said that doesn't exist. So it's a little hard to understand how this happened. I mean, we don't know why certain people can remember. I'm guessing it has to be because of the distance, because he definitely can't be some type of connection, because Wu had a witness down there, so he would know of that person. So in theory, if it was because they didn't have a connection to him, he has a connection, he would have forgotten. And I love how when she reached out, the way her hand interacted with the energy field, it was like her hand was turning into a digital image before she got sucked in. It was awesome. So I have to admit, I was wrong. In the previous episode, I stated that more than likely that that setup we saw at the end of the last episode with the force field was FBI and not SWORD. Obviously, it is now SWORD. We can confirm that. We also have to give a welcome back to Darcy Lewis, played by Kat Dennings, initially appearing in the original Thor movie from a decade ago, back in Phase 1 in 2011. She was last seen in Thor: The Dark World back in 2013. Obviously, as a lot has changed from Darcy, she comes back not as a young assistant, but as a astrophysicist with a doctorate. Maybe that's what she's been doing this whole time since that atrocious Thor movie. This show is also, I mean, to the point, it's definitely pointing to strong women. Not only the super powerful Wanda, but Monica's boss level attitude. When she was talking to the director, he said, "I was the best." She said he was the best person for the job, and he said I was the only person for the job, and she goes, "I wasn't gonna say it." I mean, and then Darcy schooling everyone about everything that was there, and figuring out what was going on inside the WandaVerse, and what she was able to see. She even picked up that big heavy piece of equipment while the guy just stood there. Like, it's definitely pushing this powerful women's and I don't want to say agenda, because it's not an agenda. I mean, women are powerful, but it's definitely pushing that, like, hitting that point home, that these women are powerful and they are intelligent and they are very, very not only capable, but are making most of the men in the show look pretty unimportant and uninformed and not very smart. I mean, besides Wu. But he's very attuned to what's going on. So Darcy picked up CMBR, which is cosmic microwave background radiation. They made a comment about how the radiation levels were safe for now. she said, possibly foreshadowing about the mutants, like I said. Um, the director that I spoke about a second ago, Tyler Hayward, said later in the episode that it's a relic radiation dating back to the Big Bang, which definitely makes me believe that Wanda created her own little pocket universe, and that's the radiation that they're seeing is basically what the Big Bang, what happened to the Big Bang, with the Big Bang, sorry. So, and Wu is, a true blue good guy who is just, so about like what's right and wrong, and when they sent in that agent to go investigate, underneath in the sewers, uh, he Hayward made a joke about how I bet someone's missing you in Quantico, and he just looks at him dead, like with the most serious face. No, sir, softball season is over. Like, excuse me, it was like they couldn't wait to get rid of him because he was such a goody two shoes stickler to the rules and everything like that. It was. I really love his character in this. I mean, he was great in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but like this is, I like how they're taking this to a whole nother level. And we finally see that the Beekeeper did initially have a hazmat suit, but that changed once he passed through the walls of the WandaVerse. And yes, I'm calling it the WandaVerse. No one else has called that. I mean, I'm sure people on Instagram. I wasn't the first person to use the hashtag, but. That's not the official terminology. That's just what I'm going to use for it because it's a little pocket Wanda universe. So we're going to call it the WandaVerse. And then I love the little meta humor they had. So you're telling me the universe created a sitcom starring two Avengers? Darcy's like, it's a working theory. I mean, I really like that little hey nod to. Yeah, I know you guys weren't expecting this to be good, but now you're hooked, and now it's just going to keep getting better. And I really did like that. And, Darcy, again, here confirmed Vision was dead because, I know it's been strange here, but that guy's, dead. Dead. Not blipped, dead. So that definitely confirmed that. And we also can finally put to bed the discussion whose hand that was in the end of the first episode. It was Darcy's. We see that in this episode. And I was right how what's going on in there is being told out of order from what's going on in the real world. I did like that. So, and, at that point, so we know that he's dead, but what we're seeing is he's alive. So when Darcy sees them kiss, she goes, "Aw." It may not be as sweet as that appeared. More on that in a little bit. So now here. So I know a lot of you guys probably didn't pause it and try to see everything that was on that board, but my crazy ass sure as hell did. I did get as much as I hoped because I couldn't read everything. But so what was on the board? They had a title, What We Don't Know. Why hexagonal shape? Why sitcoms? Same time and space? Is Vision alive? So answer the first question to me, hexagonal shape. I believe that's a way to kind of like a summoning circle. Because like I said, I think it's Mephisto pulling the strings, or maybe even Nightmare influenced by Mephisto, but we'll get to more of that a little bit later. Why sitcoms? There was a leak that I read probably about 6-7 months ago that said that reminded her of the last time she was happy watching those TV shows with her brother. So I don't know if that's true. We'll see moving forward. Same space and time. Same time, yes. Same space. I mean, technically, but it's its own universe within inside the universe. It's inhabiting the same space, but it's not the same space. Is Vision alive? I'm saying no. But we'll get to more of that later. And then also they said what could be behind it, and it says Skrull with a question mark. So this is S.W.O.R.D. They're still worried about the Skrulls. I think that's also a little precursor to the Secret Invasion. Maybe they've got wind of that, and that's happening as well. And maybe that means the Fury that was on that sword base wasn't actually Fury. We'll see. Then, so they went over the cast. So the Hearts, they're played by Todd and Sharon Davis. Norm is Abalash Tandon. Jones is Harold Copter. Beverly is Isabel Matsueda. Herb is John Collins. Now I looked, I couldn't find these names anywhere else. I'm sure somehow they're going to be significant, but these are all what we're guessing is residents of that town that have now been basically erased from existence in a pocket little Wandaverse. So they also said failed attempts at communication, phone lines, digital, and drones. Um, and there were some other things on that board that I couldn't quite see. Did see something about a 5 mile radius. I'm guessing that's what affects it. And I did notice they didn't really have any information on Agnes because, I mean, I'm pretty sure she's actually Agatha Harkness, as I've said before, and she is a witch from the Salem Witch Trials. So, yeah. Now, it does seem to me that Wu and Darcy, with at least with Monica trapped in the Wandaverse, are definitely the two smartest people in the room. Wu figured out something was going on to begin with, and then Darcy figured out everything else. So, Darcy figures out how to send a signal into the reality, into the Wandaverse, and we can now confirm that Wu was the voice on the radio, but I don't think anyone didn't know it was him, in my opinion. I mean, it definitely was. I thought it was immediately, but especially because of the trailers. I mean, if you saw the trailers, you kind of guessed it was him. So when we saw what happened in the scene initially, that is the part where Wanda, looks at the radio and then Dottie cuts her hand. In the feed that they watched, that skipped, and then it faded to black for the commercial. Now, I believe that, we'll talk about it a little bit later. They said that someone's censoring the broadcast. I don't know if it's Wanda. I think it might be. I think it might be Wanda, but I really think it might be whoever's pulling the strings with her, because I'll talk about it a little bit later. I believe that she's like super powered by something. And that would, because if they saw what Wanda was really doing and how powerful she is, they might be more aggressively trying to get in there. And then I'm guessing that whoever's behind this needs it to keep going so that they can reach their goal. So we'll see. We'll see moving forward how that plays out. And it definitely shows anything that enters the Wandaverse is changed to fit the reality that they enter. Like even when the guy in the hazmat suit was crawling through, when it crossed through the Wandaverse, the rope that was connected to him changed into like a jump rope. And then even when they pulled it out, it was still like glitching, like coming into our reality. And then like even when he got out of the, now it's a beekeeper suit and he gets out of the sewer, it was color. And then when he turned around to see Wanda, it went and faded to black and white. And, we still don't know what happened to that guy. I mean, I think everyone's just kind of glossing over the fact that we have no idea what happened to him. I wonder if we'll see that in one of the future episodes where she just disintegrated him out of existence. That'd be freaking crazy. She basically just snaps him out of existence. And I do really love the transition of the screen ratios, letting us know which is the real world versus what's in the Wandaverse. That's really nice. And the way they do it too, it's like slow and it builds tension, and it's really impressive. I like it. This show is, in my opinion, is gonna, if not be nominated, win a ton of awards. And then the second skip came when Wanda expelled Geraldine from the Wandaverse. When Wanda's questioning Monica, she asks who she is, and Monica says, "Wanda, I'm just your neighbor." And then Wanda responds, "Then how could you know about Ultron?" She charges up, "You're not my neighbor. You're definitely not my friend. You're a stranger and an outsider. And right now, you're trespassing here, and I want you to leave." And, she shoots her out, and then I don't know if you guys heard it, but there was a very similar sound when Monica came to in the other episode where she was like, "Did you hear that?" And she made the sound. She looked a little disturbed when she looked at her hands and saw what she'd done. I mean, yes, she was protecting the perfect reality, but I don't know. It looked like the rage really took over her, and it scared her. And this definitely makes me think that she's being powered up by some dark force. And again, to me, it points straight to Mephisto. She made a deal with Mephisto for whatever his desire is. I don't know yet what it is. I'll talk about that a little bit at the end. Um, and I talked about it last time about how I feel like he could potentially be trying to inhabit Vision's body, but I digress. I mean, she definitely had that moment when she was even stuttered, you know, and she just seemed to not really realize what she had just done. And then she just snapped back into it, fixed up the walls and moved forward. Um, so I don't know if that was truly Wanda or if whoever it was pulling her strings, or if just the power just got to her and she just was so hell bent on protecting her perfect little reality that she just snapped. And then you got the biggest shocking moment of the episode when right after that happened, Wanda turns around and she sees Vision as we last saw him, colorless, with a hole in his head where Thanos ripped out the Mind Stone. But he was speaking, though, and this makes me think that his body is just that, dead. And Wanda is controlling him inside this reality like some sick, magical Weekend at Bernie's. And it's kind of, disturbing if that is the case. And then, she's just controlling the reality so she can make it look like whatever she wants, but she's really playing puppet master and kissing a dead robot or synthezoid, I guess. I still definitely think Mephisto is playing supreme puppet master here. He's the Darth Sidious in the background, just moving everyone's pawns around. Now, it was rumored initially that Nightmare was going to be the villain for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Maybe he is the villain here, and Nightmare is working for Mephisto. If it is Mephisto, he must need Wanda to bring him into the real world. That, like I touched before, the hexagonal shape, maybe some type of summoning spell framework. Maybe that's the chaos magic symbol that she will have to stand in the middle to use. Maybe he needs to use the twins that Wanda made. Like she had to create the twins, in order to bring him in or something. In the comics, Wanda used slivers of Mephisto's life essence to give the twins their souls. Then Mephisto later reabsorbed them, and then they ceased to exist. They did return later, which pointed to my theory about how I feel like that's going to happen. They're going to grow up, and Wanda's going to get even more attached to them, and then Mephisto's going to come and just take them away. And that's what's going to snap Wanda and really just send her over the deep end. I mean, that would be the last straw that gives her mental breakdown. I mean, she lost her parents, then she lost her brother, then she was held captive by her friends, then fell in love with Vision, only to have him murdered right in front of her, while she's powerless to do anything to stop it. Then to have this perfect world that was created for her end with both of her sons that she now is attached to be taken from her. Yeah, that seems like she's gonna have a mental break, and the House of M storyline is playing out so nicely, and I have to admit I'm so excited to see where this is gonna go. If Mephisto is powering her up when she created the twins, that you can kind of have a correlation there that she used Mephisto's life essence to create the twins, which would allow him to reabsorb them again. That'd be definitely something. And then when Vision says, "We can leave," Wanda says, "No, we can't. This is our home." Vision, are you sure? "Oh, don't worry, darling. I have everything under control." Does she? Does it, though? I mean, like the Thor meme, is it really, though? But, and then, at first Vision was, reluctant to accept that. But then, he reverted back to the smiling Vision and content with the reality after his initial wariness. Now, I believe there's, something hidden in these post-credit scenes, these credits here. I can't for the life of me figure out what it is. At one point towards the end of it, it looks like there's maybe a red figure forming, but then it shows that the two rings had been formed. So I really don't know. If anyone can figure it out, I'm sure it'll break the internet if you definitely can figure that out. Um, okay, so that was a deep dive into WandaVision. WandaVision. That was horrible, I know. But we're going to take another quick break here, and we're going to come back and talk about how Community helped bring us some of the best Marvel content. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So, I don't know if many of you know this. I would hope so, but I don't know. The Russo brothers weren't always these huge, directors. They got started on some smaller. I mean, there were a lot of good talent on the cast, but like not huge productions like Arrested Development and Community. And Community was actually instrumental in the Russos getting into the MCU. Um, the Russos were the minds that brought us Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which in my opinion is the best MCU film from a purely film standpoint. It was just amazing. Not that some of the other movies aren't great, but that one, just from a storytelling aspect, I think was just done remarkably well. Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, and Avengers: Endgame. So according to Kevin Feige, the head honcho for Marvel, he is a big fan of Community. Feige noted that the episode for a few paintballs more was the episode that convinced Marvel to reach out to the filmmakers. It took about 2 months for them to come to an agreement, and the rest, as they say, is history. There have been many Community actors appear in the MCU. Some of the minor ones would have been like Walton Goggins, who played Mr. Stone from Cooperative Polygraphy, the Pierce Will episode in season 5. He, of course, appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Randall Park from, he's in WandaVision, as well as Ant-Man and the Wasp. He had a brief appearance as Chang's voiceover replacement. He played himself in Intro to Recycled Cinema in season 6. Steve Agee, who was one of the developers from Meow Meow Beans app in the app development and condiments episode. He also appeared in Modern Espionage, which was the final PayPal episode. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Martin Starr, who played Professor Gligoris, whichever one it works. Either one's fine. In Geography of Modern Conflict in season 3, that amazing United Nations episode. He, of course, was in the Spider-Man movies. And also, he was in, a long time ago, in the Hulk movie, actually. The one with Edward Norton. And that is the same person, according to what I've read, which is pretty cool. Aaron Himmelstein, Jeremy Soulpatch Simmons of City College in Debate 109 plays Agent Klein in both Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and then he reappears in Age of Ultron in the helicarrier in the Battle of Sokovia. And he was that guy that Crossbones threatened to launch the helicarriers and wouldn't, which I didn't even know that until a couple of days ago. Like, it was pretty crazy. And then, there's some major characters that played minor roles in the MCU. You got Donald Glover, of course. Troy, he played Aaron Davis, the Prowler, and uncle to Miles Morales. There was actually a deleted scene in Spider-Man Homecoming where he's actually on the phone with Miles saying that he can't make it to whatever meeting he was going with. And yeah, Aaron Davis in the comics and in Enter the Spider-Verse is the Prowler. There was also an online campaign to have Donald play Spider-Man when it was announced that they would reboot it. This was like long before Tom Holland was cast as the new web slinger. Glover even does an entire bit about it as Netflix stand-up weirdo. Listen, that was one of the funniest stand-ups I've ever seen in my life. It's definitely not Troy, but it is fantastic. If you have Netflix, definitely go check that out. It's Donald Glover, Weirdo. And then, if we mention Troy, we got to mention Abed next. Danny Pudi. He made a cameo in Captain America Winter Soldier, as well as a SHIELD communications officer named Moore, who has a brief yet hilarious run-in with Captain America, Falcon, and Black Widow. Jim Rash, the Dean Master, who played Dean Craig Pelton. And, if you didn't know that, you don't know anything about Community, bro. Do you even Community, bro? Made a brief appearance in Captain America Civil War as the MIT faculty member who wanted funding for a self-cooking hot dog which had a thermal detonator inside the meat shaft. That definitely sounds like an idea from Dean Dangerous. And, the elevator scene in that final Paintball episode, Modern Espionage, was meant to be like a recreation and an homage to the elevator fight scene from Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which I thought it was a nice little nod to it. And then, of course, Ken Jeong, Ben Chang, El Tigre Chino, Kevin, Senor Chang, whoever you want to, the leader of the Changlorious Bastards, had a non-speaking role in Avengers Endgame as a security guard of the storage facility where Scott Lang came out of the quantum realm. And honestly, I saw a, I can't remember where I saw, I think it was when one of the Russo brothers was on the Darkest Timeline podcast, which I so desperately miss. Ken Jeong, Joel McHale. I know you're so busy and you're like two of the busiest people in Hollywood, but can we get that podcast back, please? He initially was going to appear in Role Models with Paul Rudd, which is one of my favorite all-time movies. It's so hilarious. So many great people in that movie. But he initially wasn't going to have a speaking role in that. It was just going to be this known actor just showing up and not saying a word. And then they repurposed that in Endgame, which was pretty cool. Yvette Nicole Brown played a ranking employee at the SHIELD, the Hidden SHIELD base, where they got the Tesseract when they went back in time. She shared an elevator ride with Cap and Iron Man, and later, in a very Shirley-esque move, she judged the two heroes too quickly and ratted them out to the military police. She also said that she didn't know that she was even in the film. She filmed the scene and thought it was for Infinity War, so when she saw Infinity War and it wasn't in it, she thought it just got cut. And then she was actually surprised to see her scene show up in Endgame, which is pretty cool for her to see. I'm sure that was like one of those really amazing moments for her, because now she's in the MCU. Excuse me. And then, of course, the biggest role that appeared in Community for anyone in the MCU would be, of course, Brie Larson, the biggest character that definitely would see. She wasn't as big when she was on Community, as like a star. But she was the coat check girl who ended up dating Abed. She made her first appearance in her story dance in season 4, that Sophie B. Hawkins dance, which was one of the better episodes in the show. So, Community, it definitely has a lot of deep ties in the MCU, and I really hope that we can find a way. I'm still holding out hope that the Russo brothers will come back down the road for Secret Wars. And if that's the case, we got to get everyone else in there. We got to find a way to get. You definitely got to get Joel McHale in there. He's a big dude. Find him a role. Please get him in the MCU. We love him and we need him. Yeah, definitely. So Marvel, DC, Community, whatever you like to nerd out about, I definitely respect you, and I'm glad that you came to listen to me today. Please, if you enjoyed what you heard, like, subscribe, tell somebody that you can go, just word of mouth. That always helps. And so This is Nerdpool Prime signing off. Thank you again for joining me, and y'all be safe out there. Wear a mask.